What is going on, everybody? Art Eddie here for another Geek Show. With me is my homie, Patrick Quinn. What's up, sir?
What is up, amigo? How's it going?
Doing really well. I am psyched for this show. We usually do it around 1 o'clock, but we have special guests, so we have to do a special time. We're gonna bring on guests out and introduce it, but do your thing, man. Do your normal.
I'm psyched about that shirt. Where can people get that shirt and this shirt?
Lifeofdadshop.com. Shameless plug. Go and get it. You guys enjoy fatherhood.
Shameful. I think it's a shameful plug.
you can get all the shirts you want. Show off that dad bod. Lifeofdadshop.com. Okay, Patrick, do your thing, sir.
Okay, everybody, let us know where you're watching from. What city, state, country. Put it down in the comments because we love making new friends from all over the place. So, Art, who are we talking to today? Who are all these people from around the world able to throw questions to?
I love when we have repeat guests, and we've had her on before. We've had her on the podcast. We've had her on the Facebook Live shows. It's Shea Fontana. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us, Shea. How you doing, man?
Hello. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have your partner in crime, Yancey, Labat, in the second. We're going to have you on for a second, then we're going to bring him on. You guys, congrats on the new book that's coming out October 2nd. It's another DC superhero high, and I love this because Aquaman's coming out. It's Search for Atlantis, and you guys are gonna be talking with you guys are gonna be introducing Mira into the mix. So talk a little bit about the book and how fun it was to write this one.
Yeah, so this one was such a blast because not only do we have Mira as a new character, we also have Raven's second appearance after her cameo in Hits and Miss. So we have these two new girls at Superhero High, and not everything's great when you have a new girl in your friend group. So it's really about our girls reacting to these new girls and how they're going to have their friendships changed and challenged through these Mira and Raven coming in.
Awesome. Very cool.
That's great. It sounds very much like just like regular school, like new people. My daughter was a new person in school this year, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously that's our emotional through line through the story, but there is a lot of superhero action, and we have our DC superhero girls this time taking on Brainiac, who has shrunk the city of Atlantis and bottled it for his Bottled City collection. So we're going to have a lot of time tracking Brainiac through the galaxy and convincing him to give us back Atlantis.
That's awesome.
So one of our our viewers that always check out the show, Kevin Hart, he says can't talk right now, but I had to pop in and say how awesome the DC novels are. Especially for my daughter. Yeah, these books are great. My kids, as soon as I get them to review, my kids snatch them out of my hands, read them. They'll kind of say oh, Dad, you got to check out page 5 and this and that. I'm like, well, let me read it first. So getting them into the non-spoiler alerts, but I agree. I totally agree with Kevin. Just a quick question in regards to, Search for Atlantis. Did you guys, when you and Yancey kind of work on this, did you kind of work with DC? It's all right, Aquaman's coming up. In the movies, should we kind of do something around Mira? How does that work? Or is it coincidental for that one?
We did know that there was the big Aquaman movie coming up, so we wanted to capitalize on that a bit. But Mira has always been one of my favorite characters. She's just such a strong warrior of the seas, and she has such unique, cool powers that we wanted to use her, but we hadn't really figured out how we were going to get from this on-land world of Superhero High and get into the ocean. So we will see that in the Legends of Atlantis movie. That's also coming out next week.
Yes.
So that's where we first meet Mira, and then this book is our follow-up to that.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Now, with making this book, how has the demand grown? The more you have the books and the older ones. So have people been asking, looking for it? Has the demand just been fun and crazy for you guys, or how did that go for you guys?
It is really incredible to see how these books have just taken off. This is the 8th one that I've written, but it's the 7th one in release. So it's our actual Spaced Out, which was a digital only, is going to be released next year in paperback, which you can also get online now in digital, or you can wait until next April when that will be out in the trade paperback. So this has been just so incredible to see how kids have been collecting not only the books, but also the toys and the movies. And they're just really getting into the DC characters through this DC Superhero Girls.
That's
so
great.
Awesome.
Shea, that I'm a big fan of your work. So is Patrick, and I can't wait to check out the movie as well as follow up with his book. But we're gonna have Yancey on in a second. But like, how do you guys work together? Because you guys create these great, graphic novels. How do you guys kind of, is it like old hat now, where it's like, all right, this is what I'm gonna be thinking. This is what I kind of want for the, the artistry and all that. How do you guys like working back and forth? Because I love what you guys do. I know it's kind of, sometimes when people just read it, they kind of take it for granted that like there is blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. Talk about how you guys work together, because I want to geek out on like just like how you guys kind of form up a relationship and like work on a book.
Yeah, Yancey is the absolute best. He is such a pro, and he knows how to take these girls and just give them this incredible emotions and really tell these stories through pictures, which is an incredible talent that he has. So with this book, we did do full scripts. So the script was finished, which is kind of a panel by panel breakdown of every page and how the story is playing out. And then that goes to Yancey, and he does his magic. So after Yancey does the art, it's sent over to our colorist, Monica Kubina, who, really colors is one of these things that you don't notice necessarily in comics. It's not something that's the first thing you look at, but it's really setting the tone and the mood and just the emotion for every single panel. It's such an important part. So our entire art team, including Janice Kubina, who also does the lettering, is just really incredible. Actually, Janice Chang, sorry. Monica Kubina, Janice Chang is the letterer. And Yancey is really the one who sets the stage for everything that's happening in the book. And, his art, he has 2 little girls, and I think he really pulls a lot from his kids, and, just the incredible body language that he brings to the character is just, it's so childlike, and obviously it really captures these young girls and the way young girls really are.
Nice.
Yeah, just one quick thing. The reason why I was laughing is because when you were praising Yancey, people can't see it. I can see in the lobby. He was like doing like a happy. That was awesome. I wanted to peel back that curtain. Go ahead, Patrick.
I was just going to say, we're going to see when we start talking to Yancey in a little bit, we're going to see some of his girls' artwork behind him, because he's got it up on his walls, and looks like they're ready to get working in the universe as well soon. And do you guys ever, like, Art and I, we work together on a lot of different things, so we have like a really good synergy between the two of us. Are there ever times though when you're like, oh man, that is way off, or like maybe where he is like, Shea, what do you think about maybe doing it this way instead? And
I'm sure he gets really angry at me every time I write big crowd scenes, because then he has to draw every single character. But yeah, it's always, whenever I'm like, this is so amazing, so much better than I could have actually imagined, just the way he does, really cool layouts and the incredible artistry that he brings to every book. So I don't think there's ever been anything that's been a bad surprise. They're always good surprises.
That's fantastic. That's so awesome.
Shea, also too, besides the great work with DC Superhero Girls, you also, written some other different variations and comic book titles for DC. I want to give a shout out to that because those books were great. Talk a little about those books as well.
Thank you. So last year I did an arc on Wonder Woman, which was an absolute dream come true. She's one of my favorite characters. She's obviously, when I was a kid, she was the girl superhero. She was Wonder Woman. She was who you wanted to be. So it was really fun to be able to dive into that world and be a part of the ongoing Wonder Woman legacy. And then also recently I did a Deathstroke story for the DC Beach Blanket Bad Guys anthology over the summer, which was completely different for me. Very much not for kids, very adult oriented. So that was a fun world to kind of like, it's very weird when your editor's like, make it darker, make it darker, make it darker, because I've never had that before. So it's really fun to be able to like, oh yeah, we can make it a lot darker. We can go really dark with this. And then also I wrote a Catwoman Tweety crossover, which was the backup story in the Catwoman Tweety issue that was out last month. And that was, you know, so fun to bring Catwoman into this really Looney Tunes world where she teams up with Sylvester to rob Granny's place. So I've just been so lucky to have so many great opportunities in the DC world and get to play with all these characters, not only in the DC Superhero Girls universe, but also in, you know, their actual, either the Looney Tunes universe, which was also such a dream come true because I was a huge Looney Tunes fan. And then also in just the main continuities.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Before we let you go and bring on Yancey, favorite DC movie right now for you is what?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to say favorite DC movie ever would be the classic Superman.
Yes. That's fantastic. And lastly, because I'm not going to ask you, even though I said I was going to ask you your favorite character and all that stuff, because again, it's like so many good characters. What is like one, you know, comic book title you would love to write for DC next? Like, what was your like bucket list material stuff right there?
I would love to do more Batgirl. I always loved the character of Batgirl. I really love how when I was a kid, I saw Batman the Animated Series and I saw Batgirl and she was a hero who made herself a hero through her smarts. And I thought maybe if I just went to the library and read enough books, I could also make myself a hero. That seemed pretty possible. So I really always admire that quality in her. And she is, you know, it didn't take some tragic backstory to make her a hero. She just became a hero because it was the right thing to do and it was what was needed. So she stepped up. So I would love to do some Batgirl.
That's awesome. And I think you are a hero because you're inspiring not just girls, but kids of all ages. And also, like, I'm a big fan of your work with the, like, you know, the non-kid stuff as well.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to, you know, chat with you. Thanks again for taking the time. We're going to bring on Yancey in 1 second. Before we let you go, where can people find you on social media and all your good stuff?
I am at Shea Fontana, which is SheaFontana. At Twitter, Instagram, on Facebook. I'm everywhere. I have a unique name, so I'm lucky that I'm the only one.
Nice. Are you headed up to New York Comic Con?
I am not going to be at New York Comic Con, but I am at Sioux Falls Comic Con this weekend, starting on Friday.
Awesome. Very cool. If you're in that area, people, I suggest you check it out and say hi to Shea for us. Thanks again for
following you on Instagram. So.
You'll get a lot of pictures of my puppy. I got a new puppy a few months ago, so it's just all puppy pictures.
That's shaking his head like, yep.
Look at that little guy.
Yeah, there he is. There's his bow tie. He's very handsome.
That's awesome. Jay, thanks so much for taking the time. Continued success with everything you got going in the future, and hope we can talk down the road.
Thank you so much for all your support and always, reaching out and being great interviewers and also great reviews of the books. I really appreciate you always being there.
It's our pleasure. You take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, Shea.
All right, so now we're going to bring on Yancey. We're very excited. First time guest, but part of the DC world. Yancey, what's up, sir?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for taking time to chat with us. Obviously, I love, again, like pulling back the curtain, just your different expressions and stuff when Shea was talking about you and all that good stuff. So for you, talk a little bit about this book, Search for Atlantis, and were there any your artwork is fantastic. We have a few posters in my girls' room of your work. Talk a little bit about like the challenges for kind of creating Atlantis and then also having it being shrunk down.
Well, fortunately, a lot of these things were already, the image was already created by the animation department. So they kind of just ship all the reference to me and I just kind of roll with it. But, there's a few things I have to add. Some of these little backgrounds, I pretty much have to go by their style and match it because, the whole thing has to connect the worlds of the toys, the animation, the comics. They all have to have that similar look to them. So, but it wasn't too tough. I mean, by the time I got to this book, I had already done 4 previous ones. So, the whole style and the feel, I felt I had down. Nice. So I figured I just kind of kept doing what I was doing and it worked out.
And is working like doing art, I mean, obviously this must be a lifelong thing for you. Is this like, how does it feel working for DC? Like, is that something you always wanted to do, or were you go like, I'm going to be painting ceilings soon, and now you're in DC and just like a whole different branch of art that is just awesome?
I can't even paint walls. That's one thing I've never done. I remember in college when I was taking painting classes, and basically my instructor would come over and take my brush away from me and just give me this huge fat brush, because he says in here we do not draw with a brush, we paint. And it kept happening because I would just sit there with like this, these nice little lines, and he's like, he gave me a house painting brush, and I had to just start slapping on all this stuff. And I decided about then painting wasn't my thing, so I kind of just stuck with the whole drawing, and I had a lot of fun with that.
Awesome.
We were talking about with Shea about your daughters and all that. Talk a little about like what they think of your work, and whether we're talking to a comedian or an actor, they're like, your kids must think your job is really cool. And they're like, whatever. For you, like, what do your kids think of your job?
I think, well, one's still a little young. One's 5, the other one's 9. The 9-year-old, I think, is really cool because her friends are really digging what I do. We do that career day every year where I go to school and I talk about it, and I pull out stuff, and I have the kids do their own comics and stuff like that. So basically,
all the other dads and moms, like, oh crap,
great.
Well, it's funny too. We live in Tech Central, so a lot of people come and they're like, computer programmers or what have you. We're in the South Bay, and then I show up and it's fun. We have another artist and they love him too, but I do the comic thing and the kids totally love it. As far as what their reaction is, my youngest is really starting to get into it. She'll sit there and she'll sit over my shoulder and she'll just stare at me and just watch what I do. And the best part about it is she's become a critic. She really hasn't understand my process yet. But when I'm in the process and I haven't drawn a head yet, she'll be happy to point that out. If I have an eye, she'll say, "Why does it only have one eye?" And I was like, "Because I haven't drawn my other eye yet." And it's hilarious, but at the same time, after about 30 minutes of this, I kind of have to find a project for her to do.
That's awesome.
Backseat drawing. That's a new thing, right?
My older one still likes the comics. She still loves to read them, but she's not as involved. She's more into her thing now, which is great. She's not staring at what I do. She starts and then works on her own comics, and that's a lot of fun. So I guess I inspired them that way.
Do you ever draw them and like add them, include them into your comic books? Maybe like a little surreptitiously, like, let me get my girls in this book.
I think I do without really thinking about it with background characters. I did a book, and it wasn't in this series. It was something I did for for ABC Mouse a few years back. And I remember I had my whole family in there. They were at a carnival, and they had my wife sitting there holding because the little one was real little at the time, and then the other one with her curly hair was sitting there, and that was a lot. That was really cute. But as far as these books, I really haven't. I've put people in it. I mean, I put Shea in one. I've added myself and our colorist, as Shea pointed out, Monica Kubina, and our letterer Janice Chang. In I think it was in the last book. It was the one where it was the last book. And it was when, what was her name? One of the villains broke into the Daily Planet, and then they show in the background, we got to get out of here. And that was the 3 of us. So I do like adding stuff like that. It's a lot of fun.
All right. So next book, me and Art, what do you think? How do we look? I mean, let us know what poses you need us to get, and then, you just jot us in there. Perfect.
The look of total terror, usually, because that's why I like to draw people who are running away. Or yeah, exactly. Because, the heroes got to come in and save the day. So we're all like, ah!
Yancey, talking, to, artists and all that stuff, especially for comic books, technology has changed. You'll see even a couple of artists will do like a Facebook Live, and they'll just start, doing stuff on a computer program. What are your thoughts on, like, from when you started to now? Are you embracing the technology? Do you love it? Or do you kind of like old school, like paper and pen, and kind of go from there?
I am so much on the computer these days.
Okay.
It's hilarious. It's not even funny. All my inking's done on the computer. I don't even know what a pen and ink is anymore. I pick that thing up and all of a sudden just splots end up there. I'm thinking, nah, this isn't working. But my initial drawings, I wonder if I had some lying around my sketchbook. I do everything initially by pencil, the quick sketches. Then I scan them in, and then I just go right over that on the computer. So, and I have kind of this quirky style, which I do not like to bring up. It's my secret style because when people find out about it, they go, dude, how do you work like that? So I just like to keep that as my secret, even though my original editor definitely knows.
Your alter ego drawing style, right? Is that it? Like,
oh yeah, it's even my wife looks at it and goes, what? So.
Yeah, I'm very much like my initial things is always paper. Also, I've got notebooks filled with like ideas and stuff I need to write, and all this stuff. But it always has to go on paper first before it hits the.
You get that nice looseness. I can't sketch on a computer, no matter what. Even with my Wacom and everything, I cannot sketch on the computer at all. Everything just doesn't come natural. I can do finishes, but I can't do the loose, light, sketches. So
right.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Because there's a lot of pencil lines or pen lines involved with those sketches.
So for you, favorite DC, we're going to ask you because we're going to kind of be wrapping up soon. And again, appreciate you and Shea's time. Favorite DC movie for you is what?
My favorite DC movie is probably the second Michael Keaton Batman.
Oh, Batman Returns.
Yes, Batman Returns, because it was dark. But at the same time, I felt it was kind of true to the characters. I love the way the Penguin was portrayed in that. I loved his backstory, and I loved how they were all kind of connected with these tragic pasts.
Yeah.
Between him, Catwoman and Batman. It was just this wonderful thing and plus it still had that nice Tim Burton fantasy feel about it. So it was fun. So it was fun, but it was dark.
Just quickly, Christopher Dillaway says, I sometimes build Lego buildings for displays, and I'll always add my girls as characters on my display. They love trying to find where I put them. That's kind of cool. So kind of like
awesome.
What we were talking about earlier. Just kind of going with the Michael Keaton Batman. Did you hear the idea of him coming back as like, the Dark Knight Returns and having Michael Keaton being that older Batman? That'd be kind of cool, right?
That would be. I loved him. I thought he was great. It was one of those things where, you hear Michael Keaton, that's Johnny Dangerously. Come on. And then he comes out and you go, wow, he pulled this off.
Awesome. Very cool. Yancey, where can people are you on social media? Where can people find you?
I am hidden from the world pretty much. I'm on Facebook, and that's about it. So
okay. Where can you find it? At the deli in the morning sometime.
I'm hanging out, having a sandwich, drinking coffee.
My kitchen in the afternoons.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. In the house, picking up the kids from school, dropping them off, working.
Awesome.
Nice, living the life of dad. Love it. People, make sure you pick up the new DC Superhero High Girl Search for Atlantis. It comes out October 2nd, and also, like Shea said, there's a movie that goes along with it. So watch the movie first, then read the comic. These are great ways to get your kids into comics. Watching the show, that Patrick and I definitely dig these, and we appreciate everything that DC and like Shea and Yancey are doing to create a cool environment for kids to understand comic books and all that. So great work, and keep and continued success with everything you got going on, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So for Patrick and myself, we're actually next week, we're gonna have a show on Tuesday instead of Thursday. We're gonna be talking with a cosplayer on how to keep the money down for if you're gonna create, your own costumes for you and your family. It's gonna be a cool one. I think it's still at 1:00, but look out for the the details and stuff on social media. But again, for Patrick and myself, thanks for taking the time to chat with us, Yancey and Shea, and everybody, thanks for checking out the show. We'll see y'all next week. See you.